do you wish that everyone in Australia knew about rip science? What are your top tips for spotting a rip?
Well, I think my wish is that everyone goes to the beach and, hopefully they swim between the red and yellow flags. But if they don't, they need to stop and think about beach safety and think about rips. You don't just cross the road without looking both ways. You should never go to any beach without thinking about safety. And if you don't know what rip currents are, then you have to learn what they are. And the main tip is that they're like rivers of the sea. And any surf beach that's got waves breaking with a bunch of sandbars, there's going to be these deeper channels heading offshore. And the waves bring the water in, the rips take the water out. And the best way to look for them, as you can see in this video, is from these green dark gaps, because they sit in deeper channels like that one. The deeper water is darker, not as many waves break. So you try and get an elevated position looking down at the beach, and you look up and down the beach for these persistent dark gaps through the white water. That's the best tip in terms of how to spot them. And if you do find yourself stuck in one, I think really the best thing to do is just to float. Float, relax, and signal for help. Relax as much as you can, but stay afloat and please signal for help.
And Rob, on a day like today, I mentioned in the introduction that 4 times as many drownings are likely to happen today. That is just so sad, obviously, when everyone's out trying to have a good time celebrating a public holiday. But with that, I guess, does come those extra risks.
Well, there's just so many people going to the beach. I mean, I live close to a beach. It was packed at 8 o'clock in the morning. I went down for another swim just recently, and I saw a near drowning, actually. There's just so many people going to the beach. They want to have a good time. They're possibly not thinking about safety today. Where I am, the waves are a bit big. You could have alcohol involved. There's all these extra risk factors. So just on and the lifesavers and lifeguards, they're not overwhelmed, but there's so many people. It's difficult for them. So it's always high risk on public holidays like today. And once again, just think about safety. Don't just rush in the water. Try and get between the flags, but think about what the conditions are and, should you actually be going in the water.
Rob, we can all detect a bit of an accent there. Tell us your story. How did you end up in Australia? What does Australia Day mean to you?
Yeah. So I'm Canadian originally, from Toronto, Canada. We went to the beach once a year in the United States, and that was my love of beaches. It was family holidays. I love the beach. It's a place of joy. And I was studying geography at university in Toronto, and we were studying beaches up there, and the water temperatures were about 8 degrees. We'd be in them for about scuba diving for hours. So there was, when I finished my degree, I wanted to go backpacking, and Australia was the #1 destination. I wanted to experience Australian beaches, and honestly, the first wave I caught, body surfing at Bondi Beach, I was hooked, and I just thought, how good is this? And I could not believe that people lived on this coastline, this beautiful coastline with this massive population. The water was clean. And to make a long story short, I came back the next year and I got a scholarship and did my PhD on rip currents. So I've been here for 31 years, 32 years. So almost, still not a local maybe.
Oh, we're definitely happy to count you as a local, Rob. I mentioned that tragic incident at the start of the interview, but without being modest, how many lives do you think you might have saved in the water?
I don't know. It's hard to know, but sometimes it's not uncommon for me to get emails from people or letters in the old days when people would say, look, I watched your video, I saw your talk, and that's what helped me get out of a rip or save my child. And that's where you realize that you are making an impact. And I think if everything I've done has saved even one life, then it's all been worthwhile, really.
Professor, absolutely. Dr. Rip, Professor Rob Brander, so good to talk to you. Really appreciate you making the time for us, and congratulations again. Continue on with the good work, and we hope that people have taken those tips on board as they do head down to the beaches today on Australia Day. Thank you.
Great, thank you.